VRTO is an annual virtual reality conference hosted in Toronto, Canada. This event has been exploring art, culture, and science through immersive technologies since 2016. After a couple of years of hosting this event digitally, VRTO returned in person this year to an intimate crowd of industry professionals for an opportunity to connect and gain insight from some of the best in the business. Allow me to introduce the founder of VRTO, Keram Malicki-Sánchez. How you doing, Keram?
I'm so glad to be on our second day. I'm so glad you guys are here. It's such a big deal to have, the Americans come to Toronto and cover, but all these amazing companies that we have in the city. So that's really exciting for me.
It is exciting for us to be here as well. Our first time in Toronto. We are having a great time. I really believe that VTRO kind of has this forward-thinking, almost mystical aspect about it. What do you think about when you hear me say that?
I agree with you. Toronto's always been a bleeding edge city. One of the reasons for that is you've got 18 universities in this province. A lot of them are focused on tech and thinking through the societal implications. University of Toronto is just down the street. It's one of the main centers in the world for AI. Steve Mann, from the grandfather of wearables, comes from U of T. We're in OCAD University right now that was a place for a lot of digital pioneers thinking about the impact. So it's not a mistake that we're in this university. It's kind of paying tribute to everybody who came before us, thinking about these problems and how to solve them and how they would impact us. So Toronto's an interesting place. I live in LA most of the time, but I come back here because really there's so much new thinking around what to do next.
Why did you start this thing?
Well, it was a lot of things. I was running a game review site that was going to a lot of indie shows and seeing the young developers building. We were calling them walking simulators at the time. This is stuff like Gone Home and Dear Esther. Everyone's Gone to the Rapture, where games where you're just walking through environments and didn't have anything to do but just enjoy the environment. So I was there's something happening here where we want this kind of deeper level of immersion. That was around 2013, and there was this whole Kickstarter with this Palmer Luckey guy. I was going to NAB, the trade show, and people were doing panoramic photography, which was turning into panoramic video, and this whole confluence of technologies was coming together. And I said, I want to be right at the front of this because I don't want the same thing to happen as with the .com boom, where all of a sudden, it was really cool, and then it got really crappy because all these corporations came in and tried to control it and put up paywalls. I said, we need to have a fighting chance. The rebels need to have a base in this thing so we can keep it real for the rest of us.
How has this year's VRTO been? I know you mentioned when we spoke earlier that it was a bit of a challenge to pull this thing together in our post-pandemic world, so to speak.
Yeah, it was a really good trip to go for 2 years fully into virtual space. As Kent Bai would say, we ate our own dog food, and we had to show what would happen if you could only do it in virtual space. I loved that ride, but I deliberately did not even make this a hybrid event. I was let's just go fully back to human form and discover the things that we don't know that we don't know. Because the real thing about a conference is you're walking down a hall and you're who are you? And good sandwich, and where do we go get a cigarette, and whatever it is, because those moments lead to these real discoveries. That is what a conference should be for. It should be that opportunity. And to go a little deeper beyond the surface. You don't have that same digital burnout of just watching a Zoom wall all day. And there's a billion little cues that we pick up off of each other as human beings that we should pay attention to when we're trying to talk about this new technology that we're moving towards. Every year there's sort of a theme that emerges, and this year we're really looking at how 3D tools and depth-based media is starting to really trickle into the mainstream production pipeline. So we're no longer speculatively talking about Unreal one day being a filmmaking tool. We're literally talking to people making Star Trek with Unreal. And we're talking to people who have got shows lined up for television using Vives for Ultimate Warrior tournaments, and people that are teaching live theater performance in VR at Tisch University. So That's a big deal, and that's a pattern that we identified. So this year, as opposed to talking about health or industry or whatever, we're looking at how all the traditional media is being completely upended and really now relying on depth tools to make the future of entertainment.
Thank you for putting this together. It is a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having us, and we look forward to seeing all of the great things that you're going to continue to do. Thank you, Keram.
You guys are always covering the frontier, so thanks to you guys for being here.
Please take a moment to leave a like on the video, and if you love VR like we do, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.